All right. Hey, everybody. Rob here with Bestseller Publishing. Going to be doing something a little bit different today in that I'm having one of my clients on, Craig Weir, and we're going to be discussing how to craft your back-end offer and also the steps, funnel steps, if you will, to attract your ideal client. And so I offered this the other week, and several of you did ask about it. I know a couple of you have asked if we could do more of the brainstorming and crafting. In Craig's case, it's maybe a little less of the crafting and more about figuring out the steps, the price points, etc., for the various back-end offers. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. I'm going to begin sharing my screen because there's several things I want to share with you. First thing I want to show you before we dive into Craig's stuff is I just launched my new funnel today, which is the Black Book of Writing, Marketing, PR, and Media, which, as you may or may not know, is really the workbook version of Publish, Promote, Profit. Why is that important to you? I'm not telling you that because I want you to buy it. I'm not interested in you doing that because you've already become my clients, which is what I'm interested in happening. But the funnel is another version of this with various other upsells and downsells to see if we can reach another segment of the marketplace. Now, it's very, very early, literally just turned on the Facebook ads within the last couple of hours. Let me share my screen with you and show you some of what's going on right now, which is very exciting. So literally just turned on ads. We have right now spent $65 on this campaign, and we've gotten 8 purchases. A couple of these purchases included what's called our Black Book bundle, which you can see 37.5% of the people that bought took that, which is the first upsell. It's one of the bumps. And then the first real upsell is what I call the, it's basically the funnel masterclass thing. And someone took that. Now these are very, very early metrics, but the cool thing is we've already earned $221 on $64 in ad spend. As you know, if you've been listening to these calls at any particular time in the past, you know I'm really not interested in making money on the front end. Would that be great? Sure. I'm not gonna turn it down. But what I'm really interested in is seeing how we can scale this up to attract my ideal client, which is somebody that wants these things done for them, as most of you on the call are our done-for-you clients, where we're maybe ghostwriting your book, doing your book launch, doing media and PR, all of those things, where our programs range from a low of $8,000 up to $55,000 and beyond if someone does multiple books, etc., which that happens with us. So if I can break even on the front end, then all my lead generation is free, and we spend $50,000 a month on Facebook advertising alone, not including AdWords, YouTube, and we're now launching our LinkedIn campaigns. So the power of using your book, right? And in this case, what you're looking at, again, very preliminary numbers. I don't expect these numbers to hold up and to continue holding up, especially the fact that we have 8 sales on $64 in ad spend. That's not going to hold up. But what we see happens is in the early days, you get a lot of really, really great interest. And then over time, the funnel wanes a little bit. You have to adjust it, find new audiences, make changes, etc. And so this is one of our first, if you will, adjustments from our Publish, Promote, Profit book itself. So super excited about that. I'm excited because we have our back-end offers and our steps to attract our ideal client in place really firmly with our author development coaches and all the things that we sell and offer. So it's really, really clean. All we then have to do is get the pipeline of ideal people coming in. And that's what we do with my books, in this case, workbook, etc. So just wanted to show you very, very preliminary numbers. As I always do, I will be sharing with you updates on this over the coming weeks so you see exactly what the numbers are. I think I did an update on Publish, Promote, Profit just 2 or 3 weeks ago where I showed you that we had spent something like $250,000 in Facebook advertising in the last 5 months. Brought in, I don't remember the exact numbers, but that brought in over $2 million in revenue to bestseller publishing in the last 5 months just through this one funnel. So that's the stuff that we talk about in these calls, although this is the most high level, complicated part of it, right? There's a lot of simpler ways for you to use your book. And I try to help you with the simple ways as well. But obviously, I want to show you literally what we're doing right now to grow the business using books. So let's dive into Craig. I'm going to do a couple things. First, Craig, I'm showing your website. This is Craig's website. You can find it at craigweir.com. I am pronouncing that correctly, right, Craig?
Yeah, you are. Good job.
Fantastic. And you can find it there. These are Craig's various offers. The book, which I'll click on that so that you can see what that page looks like. This is his book offer page. Get your free copy now. Only pay for shipping. This is the 7 tax traps. There's some good copy here and information to get people to do that. Then there is the live online training. Register for the next series. And we're going to talk about all the details of these things in just a moment. This is $990, which is the live online training. And then last but not least, would you like a consultation, a virtual one-on-one? And that page is here. Give it a second to pop up. And that's information on what somebody would receive for the virtual one-on-one. And that price is $2,500. Now, as Craig informed me, these prices are preliminary, so it's not like they're always going to remain at these numbers, but I wanted to show you what it is right now, and we're going to talk through the funnel and the pieces of it and all the elements of it. So, Craig, let's start with this. I just pulled up a little Word document, and I'm kind of typing things out. I want to create some notes, not just for you, but for everybody, and so that people can go back to this and see what we talked about. I have your website here, obviously our topic. Could you start with just giving us a little bio on yourself and also telling us about who you serve?
Sure. And by the way, thank you so much for doing this. This is incredibly valuable to me, and I'm sure the others will probably get something on their own, but this is like gold for me. So really appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. Yes.
I've been a certified financial planner for 32 years. I've always been fee-based. I've always been independent. I never worked for any of the big brokerage houses or the wire houses. And I got into the business because I really wanted to help people put together the pieces of their life. And it was a long career. For most of the career, I didn't really. I did very little marketing. I spent a lot of time investing in my family and my boys. And 8 or 10 years ago, we really cranked it up. I had a talk radio show in the Houston market, wrote magazine articles, did a lot of events, and just a lot of different things that just caused us to 10x my business in about a 6-year period of time.
Love it. Love it. Congrats.
Well, thanks. But it was really just doing a lot of things consistently that did that. And during the course of the last 7 or 8 years, I actually started paying attention to a problem I'd seen before, but it really wasn't a big deal, where a client came to me who had this huge, he was in his 70s, he had a $2 million IRA, and his distributions that the government makes you take after age 70 and a half were far greater than anything he was ever going to need. And it was just a big problem. He was having to take $100,000 a year in distributions, and he only needed about $20,000 of it. Well, that started me looking at my other clients. So, and how we could avoid that for them. And I discovered that the majority of my clients were in a similar position, not necessarily the numbers the same, but they were forced to take money that they didn't need. And when they did need money, they were going to have to pay tax on everything. And so I began developing some internal tools and mechanics that helped us to evaluate whether they could benefit from some different kinds of strategies. And my demographic was, for the book and for the services, is really age 50 to maybe 75 years old.
Yep.
Not wealthy people. Wealthy people don't typically, they got a team of other people, and I'm not going to penetrate that team. Don't want to. They're too much work for the money that you make from that relationship.
So 50 to 70 years old, you'd say?
Say 75.
Okay.
50 to 75. And they maybe got, from $300,000 or $400,000 in their total 401k IRAs to $2 or $3 million, something like that.
Okay, great.
Their income levels they don't matter. It really, the problem exists when people save exclusively or too much into the before tax accounts. It creates a litany of problems that I call the 7 tax traps.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. And so this is really helpful, gives us an idea of who it is you serve, what the client demographic looks like. Do me a favor now and take me through your offers, which I showed the actual pages of them, but talk me through what you believe this process should look like and what you see the end game as being for you.
Okay. So we got the book, and I guess it's still in cover design. It should be out anytime now.
Yep.
The book is called The 7 Tax Traps, How to Escape the Hidden Taxes in Your 401k and IRAs.
Right.
And it's a book that just says, okay, here's how we got here. Here's why the problem is. Try to undress some of the paradigms, because everybody's told you're supposed to save money exclusively in your 401ks. And I'm not against 401ks and IRAs, by the way, before I get off on this. But it's like anything. Too much of a good thing creates a problem, and that's the problem that most of what I've seen of 401k savers get into.
Right.
In addition to identifying how we got here, I bring up the fact that we're at historic lows in income tax rates. So if you're going to ever pay income taxes, now's a great time to do it compared to in the future. I list out the 7, I call them again, tax traps, the things that you will find when you get to retirement age, the problems that exist. And if anybody on the call happened to be 70 years old or older, or 65 or older, they would be shaking their head of each of the 7, because it's, your Social Security gets taxed more. You have to pay tax when you buy the new car, and you don't buy the things, trips, all that kind of thing. And
Craig, let me stop you if I could. I don't need great details on the book.
Okay. All right.
Just because I want to get into the marketing and I want to get into what the back end offer looks like. So,
okay.
So there's no question you're an absolute pro. The book is, I really like it, and I really think it's going to be useful, but I want to dive into the marketing pieces of it. So forgive me for cutting you off, but
No, please do. Just you keep it going how you want it. So we got the book. From the book, we go to the live online training, which is kind of a group coaching type of thing. It's a 6-week deal.
Okay. And what do you expect to take place in that group coaching over that 6-week period? What are you helping people? What's the breakthrough they're going to get?
They're going to learn this. They're going to learn to identify the problems they have, if they have them, how large they are, and the strategies that they can go out and employ without me if they want to.
Okay.
So they can take the worksheet it's an interactive process. They can take the worksheet to their financial advisor or their CPA and sit down with them and show them the facts. That's what I hope to accomplish.
Okay, good. Love that. That right at the moment, you have that priced at $990, the group training, right?
Right. Yeah. And like, as you said, that's a placeholder, basically.
Where do you want this to get to?
I really don't know, Rob. I really don't know. As I mentioned to you, I guess in an earlier communication, if I choose to believe that the live online training is a place where I get to build trust and that they get to know me, then it can be any number. I think the most important one is the third offer, and that price point I'd love to get to $5,000, which is the one-on-one consulting. And a lot of the people that I'm going to talk to, it's easy to save $80,000 to $100,000 of taxes over their lifetime. That's a real easy deal for somebody who fits in my demographic. So I'm thinking if I can show them how to save that much money, most of the people that I'm going to take through the training are going to agree with the problem. Once we get through, they're going to understand a lot more than they did, but they're probably not going to want to do it themselves. Okay.
So I have a couple of questions, but let's start with the simplest one. This one-on-one consulting, what are the limits of it? How many sessions do they get? Is it over a period of time? What do they get for $5,000?
because they will have already completed a personal worksheet on the front end, we can get done what we need in an hour and a half in a personal call on the very front end, where I learn more about them, understand more of some of the qualitative things that aren't going to be on paper. I go away, I put together the actual game plan using the strategies that I've developed. I come back to them with a written game plan, step by step, everything that they need to do, because they have to do it. I can't do it for them. And by the way, there's absolutely, well, I won't even get into that. That's going into the weeds.
Okay.
And then we'll have a follow-up call that's 30 minutes to an hour, where I just kind of undress each of the points to the point where they feel like they have a good understanding. And, you know, between me and you and the fence post, I'm going to spend whatever time they need within some limits. If they need a couple hours, it's not a big deal. I do want to put some time constraints around it, because in things like this I've done in the past, people like to have that conversation morph into, hey, can you look at my investment portfolio? What about all these other things I'm doing? So I'm going to try to put some strict curbs around it on the front end, and I'll be more lenient on the back end.
Okay. All right. You will have to spell that out. You know, what I tell people, just as an aside, is that the first thing that people tend to sell, which they make a mistake of, is their time. And to be quite honest, people are not really interested in spending a ton of time with you, just like you're not interested in spending a ton of time with me. What you're interested in is getting some kind of result from me. And so if your offer is result based, and if it can be guaranteed, by the way, even better.
And it is. It is. I put a 100% refund on the deal.
Yeah. I would absolutely. I would guarantee, you know, 100K is a nice number. If you feel comfortable, I would guarantee it. I'd say, look, this is guaranteed to save you $100,000 in lifetime taxes, or it's free. I'm going to give you your $5,000 back. That makes it an absolute no-brainer. You're reversing the risk, which is what you always want to do in an offer. Now, I'm getting ahead of myself a bit, but that's at least worthwhile for everybody to hear. Some people, when I was first putting together our program, I came up with the idea of making the bestseller thing guaranteed. And then when we became a publicist as well, and actually did PR and media for our clients, I came up with the idea of actually guaranteeing the number of placements that our clients get. People don't do that. Companies don't do that. Now, you might see some here or there that now are beginning to do it. But if you can reverse the risk for your client, you tell them, look, not only are we going to do all of these things for you, I am guaranteeing the result that you're going to get, then it's going to make it much easier for that person to invest with you with confidence. Now, if you don't have something that works, then you need to fix that first, right? But if you have something that works, reverse the risk on people, and you'll see people will buy in droves. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So to walk through the funnel, we have step one, which is the book. This is really your lead magnet. This is your attraction device, right? This is how you're attracting the right people into your world, right? Because somebody that, and you do need to be very cautious with the title in that regard as well. You don't want to make the title too generic. In fact, you want to make the title as specific as possible to attract the ideal client into your world that you want. So you may even consider a subtitle that even lays out some of these demographics, right? I don't have an example of that right now. What I'm saying is the more specific you can be in your title and your subtitle, the more speaking directly to your ideal client you can be, then the better it's going to be. Because you don't want people coming into your funnel, because it's going to cost you money if you're going to use online traffic. It's going to cost you money every single time somebody comes in, because the real money is on the back end. It's not on the front end. Now, I showed you an example of how I'm actually making money on the front end, but this is like the second hour we're running the funnel. My other funnel, I lose considerable money on publish, promote, profit, because all of the money is on the back end for us. That's going to be true with your offer as well, Craig, and I dare say most of you that are listening to this today as well. You want to have something high ticket. So let's talk a little bit about the funnel and some of the key strategic elements of this before we even dive into the specifics. Okay, so step number one, when it comes to the book, you're going to need a system to sell the book on a regular basis and put it in front of your ideal client. I am assuming, Craig, I'll flip screens here real quick. I am assuming that your idea is to use some type of online marketing, drive people to a page where they have an opportunity to get the 7 tax traps. Is that correct? Or do you have something else in mind to actually sell the book?
That's the primary way.
Okay. So you're going to use maybe Facebook ads or LinkedIn or something to actually bring people to the book offer and get your right person to give you $7.95 for shipping.
Yeah, and I will bring up one other thing because you may be able to add something to it. In some studies we did, specifically in my demographic, what we discovered is that age group responds 3 times better to printed mail than they do to Facebook ads or LinkedIn ads. So we are crafting. I work with a mail house that I used for years, and we're crafting letters that we're gonna send in like a first class urgent mail directly to the house, where they can go online and get the book there too. So there'll be a mail program that'll complement it.
I love that. Oh, I love that. I'm so glad you said that. That's pretty advanced, but obviously you're somebody that's done these things. So I think that's fantastic. You should study where your demographics eyeballs are. And I 100% agree with you. I think direct mail, though initially a little bit more expensive, right? Because you can't just test a few clicks with $200. You have to put together a direct mail campaign, which means list buying. It means, putting together, printing the stuff. I mean, there's an initial investment to do that, but I could not agree with you more. I think your demographic is there. You may also try, this isn't off topic, but it's maybe more minutia than most people are interested in, but you may also try, Investors Business Daily is a fantastic place where you can find, I think, your demographic. The first thing I also thought about your demographic, besides like IBD, Investors Business Daily, is someone that has 300 to 3 million, and you know this better than I do, is probably somebody that could be a retired police officer, a retired firefighter, somebody that was in a career where, they were perhaps attached to government, city, county, state, etc. Now I know that they have lots of options, but once they retire, those options tend to go away. And so if you can target those kinds of people, they're going to have $1 million in a 401k, right? Or they're going to have, some lump sum of money. So love that. The print and direct mail is fantastic. And see where you can dive deeper in the demographic. So you understand all of that. I love it. What you're going to have to do at some point is you're going to have to test this page as compared to, like a ClickFunnels page, something like this. Obviously we have different demographics, although not terribly different, because my demographic skews older, 40 and up typically. And so you're going to have to test this actual page and the kind of response rate you're going to get with something else. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this in a basic sense, but it's also pretty limited, right, with what you're actually giving them. Video may help, it may not help with your demographic, but all these things have to be tested in that very, very first element of it. Now, in one sense, what today is really about is crafting your back-end offer and steps to attract your ideal client. So, we're going a little bit deeper on step number one. Really, what I would say about step number one is this, and we can have further discussions in the future about it. But you use your book in some form or fashion where your book is, your title and subtitle is speaking as directly as possible to your ideal client. So they raise their hand in some way, shape, or form and say, I am interested in what you have to offer. Now, you can do that at a speaking engagement. You can do that by putting an ad in a classified. You can do that by paid traffic on YouTube or Google or LinkedIn or Facebook, right? So you can do that a number of different ways. The first step, though, is your book, with a great hook to your ideal client that then gets them to take the first and most important step, which is raising their hand and saying, okay, I'm interested in what you have to offer. Let's dive more into what this call was supposed to be about, which is the further steps, right? The back end offer and the attracting your ideal clients who buy the big thing, because that's really what we want to talk about today. So let me start strategically there and then talk a little bit more about your offer. The biggest question you have to answer with both your live online training that you're going to offer and your one-on-one consulting is, how do you plan on getting them to buy? How are you going to get their credit card digits or check or wire transfer or whatever? What is your plan, Craig, to do that?
Talking about the mechanics of it, or
yes,
the mechanic Stripe,
well,
Stripe integration.
I get that, but that's actually went too deep in the minutia. I mean, okay, is it a phone call? Is it you on the telephone with them, a salesperson on the telephone with them? Is it just sending them to a page? Is it a video, a webinar? Like, what is the mechanics of buying that you're going to send them through?
Well, right now, all we have is the page. Our assumption is they've read the book or enough of the book to get concerned about all the taxes that they're going to owe and accept that they need to do something. So right now, all it is a convert kit sequence that begins to drip on them from the book of showing them that we have other ways that we can help them. So it would be a series of emails delivered directly to them that would all take them to a sales page that talked about the 6-week live event. We don't have it loaded, but I've got a 20-minute summary of the whole thing that I could put up as kind of a mini seminar to develop even more so the trust and the understanding of what's going on. But we haven't used that in a little while either. So that would be for the live online training. The one-on-one consulting is, because I'm going to put a 100% refund on it. That step is just they book a meeting with me straight through a Calendly link that comes to me for a 15 or 20-minute telephone call, so that I just call it a pre-engagement interview. So they can get to know me, I can get to know them, I can figure out, are they really a prime candidate for being able to save a lot of money with this? Do they have the capacity to act? And are they really motivated enough to go make this happen, so that I can very confidently offer them the refund?
Okay. Okay, good. So here's what I think about this 6-week group coaching. I really think that this is valuable enough to be sold for $5,000. I really do. The problem is if you're going to sell something for more than $1,000, $2,000 at the very top end, you have to do it via one-on-one interaction. And that is a phone call with somebody. It's very rare for somebody to go through even an email, even an online presentation, and buy something for more than $1,500 and do it without an actual phone consultation with somebody. And okay. So you're going to be limited on the live online training to about $1,000 if you don't restructure how you're going to sell it. Now, I think it absolutely, I think these numbers can increase significantly. I think this could be 5,000. I think this could be 20,000 because wow. you can add additional value to this. This can be a year-long, tax strategy and investing mastermind that you sell for $20,000 to everybody that buys this for $5,000. I can tell you, though, I know people that are selling 6-week group coaching programs without you could still offer this same 100K guarantee, right? Because you're going to give them the strategies in this 6-week that if they apply those strategies, they're going to save 100,000. Whether it's with, their own accountant, they're going to have to, get the right people, get the right team on board, but you're going to show them how to do that. So I think this absolutely could be worth $5,000, but you can't sell it the way you're talking about selling it for $5,000. You just can't do it.
Okay.
The other challenge that you have is I don't know if you can even sell it for $1,000 the way you're looking at selling it. The best marketers that I know that are selling this kind of thing or anything in the financial space, meaning make more money or start a business or save money, right? The financial space. You have to do like a great online presentation. Now it can be automated, right? It doesn't need to be an online presentation that you're doing live every single week, but you need a webinar or online presentation that sells this. And your emails, instead of driving people to this page, not this one, but the actual 990 page, right, rather than just sending people to this page, this is not enough content to get somebody to buy it, in my opinion, for $1,000. Unless they already know who you are and think the world of you, and you may get a few buyers that way. But honestly, you'll get more of the cold traffic people that maybe picked up your book, read some of it, joined your email list, and now are interested in the next step. You can drive those people through an email autoresponder series into a video presentation. And the video presentation is basically your sales presentation where you're both teaching them, giving them great content, but you're making an offer at the end. And the offer at the end can be your $1,000 thing. I don't think it can be $5,000. I think the $5,000 again still needs to be on a one-on-one call. You're only going to be able to sell any of these things, the group coaching, et cetera. You're only going to be able to sell that for about $2,000 or less if you want to sell it in an automated fashion without touching you, right? Without you being involved or a team member being involved. My thinking, if I were to structure this from scratch, first of all, let me say this. I love this. This is all really valuable. And this is a great, like clean funnel from the standpoint of your offers, right? Your mastermind consulting, you're calling it one-on-one, which, if you had too many people in there, you're not going to be happy with that. But let's keep calling it one-on-one for now. But your mastermind program, beautiful offer. Your 6-week group coaching, great offer. The offers are fine with what you're looking to do. The biggest question is going to be, you have to answer how to sell these things to your ideal client. And it's just a lot harder than you think it is initially. Sending people to a page is not going to be enough to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How long do you think the video presentation needs to be? If I send them in for the online training, how long is that? 60
minutes is more than enough. And do you know much about Russell Brunson's perfect funnel or perfect webinar sequence?
Only by name.
So I can give you a link to my various webinars and trainings, because I use Russell's stuff, but I also use a couple of others and kind of adapted it. But basically, you're laying out, you're teaching great content, so you're making it very valuable from a content perspective. But you're also taking people through a journey, much like the journey you went through when you found your clients had tax issues, and that led to these new breakthrough strategies that you discovered. So you're taking people through this journey so that they can begin to trust you, begin to put themselves into the footsteps, into the shoes of your ideal client. And then you give them, an amazing offer, packed with bonuses, with a time limit on it to get them to take action. And they will do it. Typically speaking, you'll get somebody to do that. If it's a fantastic presentation, and the right people are watching it, then you'll get 3, 4, maybe as many as 5% of the viewers to actually take advantage of it. That may sound like an incredibly low number, but if you're selling something for $1,000 in an automated fashion, you're going to make good money even by just driving traffic to it with video ads, with ads on Facebook, etc. So it will work, and it will work in a presentation. You just need a great, compelling presentation to do that.
Okay, awesome.
From there, if let's say that you want to do that and you want to, eliminate the necessity for any kind of sales, a consultative sales call. So step 2 then would be recorded presentation. Your emails are driving people back to your recorded presentation, and then they buy. And then step 3 for this one-on-one consulting would be every single one of your buyers, every single person that buys your $1,000 thing, the 6-week group thing, would get a one-on-one call with you at the end of the 6 weeks. So that's you can term it any way you want, but basically what you're doing is you're taking somebody that has already raised their hand and invested a significant amount with you. They've also invested their time with you, so they've been kind of dazzled by the things that you're showing them. And then that is the person, every single one of them. You're not going to get everyone on the phone, but every one of them, as a bonus, they're going to get a one-on-one consultation with you, and that is your.
I love it. I love it. That's brilliant. Brilliant.
That's your strategy to move them into the high ticket. Now you're going to have to show them why they need that, right? But my thinking is it's as simple as, in the last 6 weeks, I've shown you exactly what you need to do on your own. And in essence, your consultative sales call is, would you like my help with it? Right.
Right.
Would you like me to actually map all the strategies for you, do everything to make that happen for you? And of course, you're going to have a high percentage of people that will take you up on it. You could even, to make it super sweet, give them a bonus and say, I'm even going to credit the $1,000 towards the program, right? And so it's only an additional $4,000. I mean, you can find ways to sweeten the pot. Like I said, I do think that it's much more highly valued than $5,000, but this is at least a good way for you to start with that, with the funnel.
And that's awesome stuff. That's good. That's real good.
So questions around that. I mean, I think that's good for now. I mean, we've been going for a good long time. I mean, any questions around that for you, Craig, and any questions for anybody else, based on what we've shared today? And I know some of it has been strategic. Craig, you've done a great job. I mean, obviously you're a savvy business person. You understand the flow and what you're taking them to. I love the fact that you can guarantee the savings. You totally reverse the risk there. These are all things that everybody listening and paying attention to should have as an element of your high ticket offer. And then it only becomes a matter of, how do I actually get them to make the buying decision? And as that investment goes up past 1,000, 1,500, just know you're going to have some element of a one-on-one call. As you know, Craig, I don't do any of those calls anymore. In the beginning, I did them all, because I was discovering all of this stuff myself and building bestseller publishing. I don't do any of those calls. Now, what has that meant? That has meant that our conversion rate has gone down, because, believe me, if I did 10 calls, I could get more people to convert, because I'm the face of the business, than any of my author development coaches can. But I have a business that I'm growing at scale. I can't do that, nor do I want to do that. I don't want to be attached to a phone all day. So you can add any of these elements in as you scale this up and make a decision how big you want it to be.
I mean, I think what you've offered to me is awesome, and it actually fills in some holes that I just didn't know how I was going to solve. And I'm encouraged because I think what you're saying is, while maybe it's not what you would do or perfect, the content that you went through on my website. I didn't hear you telling me I needed to trash all of it. It's good enough.
No, it's good.
I need to go put together a webinar that explains what we're doing, takes people on a journey, let them know what I'm doing, and then push them into that opportunity for that online training.
Yep.
And I love your last idea. I was just going to make the pitch during the sixth session is going to be kind of a case study where I can help them see how to put it all together. And then my deal of saying, here's how you can get more. But gosh, to end it with, look, each of you are entitled to this phone call, and I'll be calling each one of you. I love that. It's even more personable. Whether they buy or not, from just a human standpoint, it allows me to help them undress everything they've learned in the last 6 weeks. One of which is just, how do I talk to my financial advisor about it? I need to help them communicate that, because a lot of the financial advisors out there they don't think about this stuff. They don't do it. And so that's going to be a roadblock.
Yep. Yeah, I 100% agree. And I do think it's a lot more human, and I think it's you over delivering because you are going to help them on the call, and then it will be, would you like more? Would you like me to customize all of this for you and make sure that we're not leaving $50,000 on the table somewhere? And why wouldn't they? You're going to get a high take rate on that. At least at these price points, you're going to get a high take rate on it. I mean, I think this could be, depending on how hard you want to work, I think you could build this into a 7-figure revenue stream with very, very high margins, based on what you see right here. Now, you could probably even go bigger than that and make some adjustments if you wanted to, add some consultative salespeople and all those various things, but you don't need to.
Probably not. I probably don't want to work that hard at this stage. But
Sorry,
I am
got you working harder than you are.
We're good. But Rob, seriously, thank you so much. This is good. And just the opportunity to have you kind of go through this is very helpful for me. And I hope some of the other people on there have been able to kind of internalize it for what they're doing on their end too.
Yeah, love it. Thanks for volunteering. Happy to do this. I am glad to do this with anybody else, but over time, I don't want to do this every single week. But if somebody else needs some help with other pieces of it, I'm happy to do that. So Craig, thanks. And I look forward to hearing more about it. I know the book is close to being done and launched and all that stuff, which thank you for your trust in me and Bestseller Publishing. We'll take good care of it. And I want to hear more about this as it happens. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you and then answer some of these questions, and then we'll be done with our call.